Chapter 15. Megan let out a small sigh as he watched her family follow to one of Caroline Castle's many tea rooms. It had been nearly a week since Discord had been stripped of his powers, and even though she and Mike had reunited that day, her husband still plopped down next to her on the couch and wrapped his arm around her shoulders. "How else he tell you?" Megan said, exchanging a kiss with him. Danielle, Michelle, and Molly walked in, with Danny rolling in after. Danielle collapsed in a large chair and leaned forward, arms resting on her legs. "Most of downtown Ponyville's been surveyed for damage," she reported. "Been going slow. Most of the populace is a bit, how we say, jumpy after what Discord did with them." Her hands glanced at the time fist. "On the bright side, the mental health business is booming, helping out everyone's trauma." Mike leaned back to the side. "Yeah, Mr. Robinson gave everyone in the company a week off with pay. I think Maria and Gina went back to work. I just have to get something to do so they don't think about what Discord did to them." He stuck closer to Megan. "How you holding up?" Megan shifted slightly in her seat. "Well, better for you all being here with me." She rubbed the bridge of her nose. "I'm not entirely sure how to start this." Danny rolled over to the end table and poured a cup of tea. "Usually the beginning works as well with my sins," he said, pivoting about and bringing the cup over to Megan. "I'll give you something for that liquor cabinet over there, but Brother Lee instincts tell me you don't need anything stronger." Megan took the cup and sipped for a bit. She stared at the liquid inside before her head shot up. "I'm not human anymore," she blurted out. "At least not fully." She held her hand out in a brown furrow. A teacup on the table stirred for a second before it flew to her hand. "See?" Michelle's eyes tracked the teacup's movement. "Mom, you got telekinesis," she grinned. "You got magic in your accounts." Dale handed out a hand and waved Michelle off. "Okay, take it down for your notches. Let's not overwhelm Mom on this." She paused and looked up at the ceiling. "You can teleport?" Molly held up a hand, but Megan spoke. I can teleport." She straightened up and grinned. "Try doesn't think I'm half bad at it." Dave smirked. "Doesn't mean you're half good at it either." Mike held a hand up. "Okay, let's not get into a snarking contest. Megan, has Celestia or Twilight had a chance to run any tests on you? Figure anything out? Because last time you told us about this, that granny body told you human body can't handle the Elkhorn magical power." He expressed it darkened. "So, how are you? Are you alright? Anything we could do to help?" Megan smiled. "I'm fine for the moment. As for getting checked out, no, not yet at least." Danny leaned forward a bit. "You are planning on having them take a look at you, right? You're not going to procrastinate because you don't want to hear bad or weird news?" Molly smiled. "I'll lay off. Megan can take care of herself." She glanced at her older sister. "Right?" Dave batted Molly. "Hey, I'm speaking from experience here." He waved a hand over his wheelchair and legs. "I didn't like going and seeing the doctors and physical therapists back when I was crippled in 93. I didn't like any bad news. Wanted to live in a little bubble. Natural for us humans and other sapiens in the galaxy." Michelle crossed her arms. "Mommy, you are going to see Twilight Sparkle or Princess Celestia. Your daddy always told me not to put off problems and solve them as soon as possible." Megan nodded to her. You're right. You're right too, Danny." She slapped the hands to the tops of her thighs. "Okay, tomorrow we'll meet with Princess Celestia and give Twilight a call so we can figure out the whole thing out. Mike, Dave, Molly, force my phone into my hands if you have to, alright?" I turned nods of approval, and Dave's kid smiled snickering, making nod. "Alright then, nothing to do but to wait and eat." Dale curled her throat. "Him. Well, I got an idea." She pulled out her phone and tapped the screen. "There's a stallion in Ponyville named Dr. Hoos. You've met a few times. Dixie's husband, originally from another alternate reality in the planet Gallifrey, Time Lord." She flipped the phone over and waved it about, showing a picture of the light brown stallion with an hourglass cutie mark and ancient eyes. "In case you find out you're immortal, really long lived, due to being part alicorn, you should have some advice perspective on that." Megan glanced at the phone, and then locked eyes with Danny and smiled. "I'll keep him in mind." It was a long walk into the dead of night for Princess Celestia, down to the deserts of the outermost levels of Caroline Castle. She could have teleported, but Celestia relished the time to organize her thoughts. She glanced at the clean but bare walls, her eyes focusing on the newly installed electric lights as they flickered and buzzed lightly. Other than that, the only sound was her hose on the concrete steps she descended. All too soon, she stood in the cell holding Queen Celestia, Twilight, AJ, Pinky, Flares, Rare, Dash, and Shiny were all asleep, but the Queen was awake for a moment. Princess Celestia watched as her interdimensional counterpart sat at a small table and fumbled with a play of flute. I could help with that, she finally said. Oh, please let them play chess! Queen Celestia barely glanced up from her plate and looked back down. She raised her head to fully stare at Princess Celestia. It's all right, she finally said. Your element's in that thing stripped me of all but the most basic and ingrained of my magic. It was done for a reason, so this is how I shall remain. A bitter smile crossed her muzzle. My first trial. My second is still to come. The humans will not be kind to me. Celestia shook her head, remained trailing back and forth and leaving lines in the air. I spoke with their leaders. Yes, you and the others will be sent to Earth for trial, but the harshest penalty would be life imprisonment. A snort escaped Celestia's muzzle. Yes, that punishment is actually feasible for me in my current condition. She managed a bite of food. Why are you here? You haven't visited me since the humans took me and the others prisoner. What's changed? Princess Celestia swallowed and kicked at the floor. I'm sorry about Discord. We should have listened to you about him. There's no excuse for ignoring you. If we had, I was ranting and raving and screaming my head off, Queen Celestia said, interrupting the quickly rambling apology. I had invaded your Earth and tried genocide its inhabitants. And then my magic forcibly stripped from me and reduced to this shell that sits before you. She waved a hoof over the bare stump of what remained of her horn. If I were in your horseshoes, I wouldn't have listened either. A bitter smile crossed her muzzle. Perhaps in that one instance we're a bit alike. Tell me, where is Discord? And what do you have planned of him? We are alike in other ways, Princess Celestia said. She jabbed Ollie to her right. As for Discord, he is at the far end of the dungeon, under heavy guard. His magic was stripped of him too. What's to happen to him has yet to be determined, but it won't be just by me. The Equestrian Alliance isn't a dictatorship, or an absolute monarchy. Queen Celestia mulled her counterpart's words before finally nodded. Very well, I thank you for coming to see me. Before we're shipped off, you didn't have to. Princess Celestia shook her head once more. You're welcome, and I did. With that, she turned and trotted off, leaving her now puzzled counterpart behind.